The floor was rising, not fast, not the way a lift rises, mechanical, bounded, predictable, the way a continent rises, the slow tectonic insistence of something that has been flat for 10,000 years deciding with absolute conviction to stop. I felt it through my palms before I felt it through my boots, the living surface tilting, not toward any wall, but toward up, the way water tilts toward a drain except in reverse, gathering at the center, thickening. The spiral text I was kneeling on, climbing with it. Bellow, I said. It is not a metaphor. It is literally coming up. She was already at her scanner. The shrieking had stopped. What replaced it was a low, continuous tone. The sound a machine makes when the reading it is giving exceeds the scale it was built to measure. The subsurface mass is displacing vertically, 2 centimeters per second. Accelerating, 2 centimeters per second does not sound like much, but the mass beneath us was the size of a city, the size of a country, the size of something I had felt stretching beneath the entire grid when the foundation had let me sense it from below, thousands of worlds pressing down like footsteps overhead. All of that weight, all of that presence, moving upward through bedrock the way roots move through soil slowly, but with a force that stone cannot refuse. It heard its own offer, I said, and it is acting on it. It is not waiting for us to accept. Rees grabbed my arm and hauled me to my feet. The spiral text kept climbing beneath us, the warm glyphs stretching as the surface expanded, the 3 words I could read pulling apart like writing on a balloon being inflated. I could still feel them, but they were harder to hold, the meaning thinning as the medium grew. We need to leave this cavern, Ray said. We cannot, Holt said. Quiet, watching the rise. Leaving will not help, this is not local. The displacement is happening everywhere the foundation exists, and the foundation exists beneath the entire grid. Bello looked up from the scanner. The tone had changed pitch higher. The acceleration was not constant. Director Holt. If the foundation is the substrate of the grid, and the grid is every parallel Earth connected through the door's coordinate system, then the foundation rising means the substrate is deforming. Under every world, under every coordinate. Yes, Holt said. What happens to the worlds above when the floor moves? Holt did not answer. She did not need to. I could feel it. The grid from below, the sensation I had first felt in episode 21, thousands of worlds pressing down, I could feel them shifting, settling, the way objects on a table shift when you tilt it. Not falling yet, but no longer level. They will fall, I said. If it keeps rising, the worlds above will lose their footing. The grid is not a map, it is a shelf, and the foundation is the wall it is bolted to, and the wall is pulling itself free. The rise continued, 5 centimeters per second now. I could see it with my eyes, the center of the cavern floor climbing, the door climbing with it, the ceiling of ice and rock above us getting closer. Not dangerously close, not yet, but the math was simple and Bella was doing it. At current acceleration, the surface mass contacts the cavern ceiling in 14 minutes. The ceiling is ice over granite over 2 miles of compacted glacier. It will not yield. It will, Holt said. It yielded before. That is how the door surfaced 23 years ago. The foundation pushed it up through 2 miles of ice and the ice moved. The door weighs a few hundred tons, Bello said. The mass that is rising now weighs more than the ice above it. This is not a door surfacing. This is a continent surfacing. The ice will not move. The ice will shatter. I looked at the spiral text, still climbing, still stretching. The 3 words I could read were almost illegible now, pulled so wide they were becoming shapes without edges. But beneath them, in the deeper register, the words I could not read were getting clearer. Not because my comprehension had improved, because they were getting louder. The foundation was not whispering its counter-offer. It was raising its voice. I need to read the rest, I said. The 3 words I understood said it was offering to come up. The rest of the sentence is the terms, the conditions. If there are conditions, there might be a way to answer that does not involve it tearing through 2 miles of ice. I dropped to my knees again, palms flat. The surface was warmer now, almost hot. The spiral had stretched into long arcs, the glyphs wide and distorted, and I pressed my hands into the deepest concentration of light, and I listened with the part of me that was no longer entirely mine. The deeper register opened. Not fully. A crack. Like hearing a conversation through a wall, you catch syllables, cadence, the shape of intention without the precision of meaning. And what I caught was not a list of terms. It was a question. The foundation's counter-offer was itself a question, and the 3 words I had already read, offering to come up, were only the preamble. The question beneath them was simpler than I expected. So simple it felt wrong. After 10,000 years, after the precursors, after the 11, after Holt, after me, after the entire slow machinery of translation and negotiation and broken promises, the foundation wanted to know one thing. I could not hold the exact phrasing. The register was too deep. But the meaning came through the way warmth comes through a wall, attenuated, translated by the medium, but unmistakable. It was asking whether the surface was safe. After 10 millennia in the dark, after building a door and growing it upward and waiting for a voice to find it, after Holt's 7 words and my full sentence and the 11 who broke against the work, after all of it, the foundation was asking, with the careful phrasing of something that has been hurt before, whether it was safe to come out, and I did not know the answer. 7 minutes, Bello said. I opened my eyes. Holt was standing above me, her glyphed wrist held out. The seventh glyph, her claws, the word that had cracked the Foundation's patience. It was changing, the edges sharpening, the fading reversing. It was getting younger on her skin, darker, more defined, as though the Foundation's rising energy was feeding it, re-inking what decades had worn soft. Holt, I said, your claws time. A bounded span. You added it because you could not agree to bury someone alive forever. Yes. What if it was not asking to bury someone? What if the permanence it offered was not a prison? What if it was asking someone to stay because it was afraid to be alone again? Holt looked at her wrist. At the seventh word getting younger. At the dark living surface rising beneath us all. For minutes, Bello said. The ceiling cracked, a single line visible sharp running from directly above the door to the eastern wall, and through the crack a breath of glacial air fell into the cavern like a blade, and the Foundation felt it. I knew because I felt what it felt, cold air from above, touching its surface for the first time in 10,000 years. It surged.